Hello and welcome to Aquarium Dilemmas. I'm your host, ScienceGal Aquatics. I'm Kerri, and this is my co-host,
Jesse, and welcome.
Hello, and thank you again so much for listening into the podcast. Today, I don't really know how it's going to go, but we have a really fun experience, and we got some new fish, and we want to tell you about. It was overall a pretty good trip, but we did have a few minor hiccups that we would like to share. It was kind of a dilemma in and of itself, so we're excited to tell you about it this week.
Well, it's more the dilemma of buying and traveling with fish.
Yes.
Should you? Shouldn't you? You know you're going to. And it's just scary for me as a new person, and you always feel very anxious.
Yes. But to start it off, this past weekend for 5 days, we went to Kentucky to Louisville for the Triple Crown. And it was, I believe, 5 different big clubs came together and hosted this big, there was lectures and swaps, and you could go room to room. They had like a billboard with what's available room to room. They had auctions. It was just a really amazing experience. And we prepped before we go. We made plenty of tank space because we knew we were going to impulse buy fish, but we impulse bought fish that we wanted. So it was exciting because we didn't know what we were going to get, but yet in that we did have a game plan. We wanted live bears, and we have been keeping some tetra, so we did get some new tetra, but we're excited to kind of tell you about it. But it was an amazing experience. But like you said, coming home and buying fish when you're traveling or driving a long way or flying, it could be stressful, even though it's exciting, and you know that you're going to pick up some really good goodies. And usually at those type of things, they have some of the more rare species that I don't normally see. So I'm always protective of the fish that I pick up, that I care for. But when they're rare and you're out of town and you don't have your fish room just right there, sometimes it can be an exciting adventure, but a little bit stressful.
Well, it gets very stressful. First, you get excited, whether it's the swap, the auction, whatever.
Even making the game plan.
You see a fish come up for auction, and you're like, oh, and then you start to bid on it, and then you're even getting more excited.
Yeah.
You get emotional. You're really wanting this fish, and you get going, and then you get this fish, and then you didn't pay attention to how it was bagged. You just all kinds of different things.
Well, you pay attention to it, but sometimes in that moment, you know, and you have a different perspective. You're newer. We both went to the same auctions, like we were both new to auctions at the same time, but I've been keeping fish longer. And in that moment, when you want that fish, sometimes you don't know how long they've been in the bag. They've probably been traveling in that bag a while. You don't know who bagged it, how much oxygen is. You don't have any control over how many is in the bag. Sometimes, in this case that we had, it was, I believe, just a little bit too much. There was just too much fish in the bag, and to me, they've been in the bag for a while, so they could have been bagged perfectly in the beginning, but to me, it seemed like they had been in there for at least a week. I do not know for sure, but in my experience, they seem to have been probably in good shape in the beginning, but towards the end of the show, they had been in there a long time. And
that's the other thing, too. You at the auctions, you don't get to ask the actual seller, like at a swap meet when we bought stuff from the actual swap.
If they're there, you can try to track them down, because sometimes they are there. There was some people there at this auction that was 100% bred them, but we don't know. You have to ask someone. I
also meant on even the water parameter quality.
You don't always get. You're right. You don't always get the opportunity, but I wouldn't say they're never there, because
no, they're there. But finding them that's a needle in a haystack.
It can be difficult, but there's all kinds of factors that go into it that you just don't have any control. But going to these type of events, I think, is really important because we get exposed to so many different fish. And if you do have a problem, if like we had something pop up, we did have a major issue. And of all the places to be at, we had like the best people we could have ever asked for to be there to help us through this situation. Was it devastating and did we lose some? Yes, but we managed to save what we could, and we were very lucky to be able to do that.
And we were able to save them for basically 3 more days, two days,
But
two nights and 3 days.
Backing up a little bit before we go down the bad news and ups and downs and end up in the good news, just overall, we did pick up some good finds that made it through with no problems at all. We got some pygmy sunfish from wild fish tanks that were absolutely gorgeous and were beautiful, and they came home and are in the tank and they are just a-okay. We got a couple pairs of new guppies, some swordtail guppies. We've got some dwarf fireball platies.
Yeah.
And then we got a few different tetra, or 2 different tetra. I can't remember the one off the top of my head.
Diamond tetra and silver skirt tetra, I believe. It was a type of skirt tetra.
Yeah, I can't remember. The bags over there, I can't remember. But we'll talk about, we'll circle back around to them diamond tetra in just a second. Most definitely will. But if you do want to keep track of them and you do want to see them, because I do post videos about them and like little updates about them here coming up in the future, just if you're curious about what they look like now. And in the future, you can check out the videos over at ScienceGal Aquatics on YouTube. Or if you want to check out the tanks here on the podcast, you can go under memberships. So there's a couple different ways you can see the fish in the future that we are about to talk about if you're curious. So I just wanted, what we're going to talk about was a little stressful and a little up and down there for a little bit. But out of all of what we picked up, we had this problem arise, but out of all the auctions we've gone to, we've never had this problem. So I do want to put it out there that I highly recommend you go to these events because the education and the fish selection, I can't get
anywhere else.
And this one,
the knowledge alone, there is a lot of people there, even if you aren't talking to the buyer or the seller of the fish. There's usually someone right around you
There's someone there that
knows everything about that fish.
I most definitely highly recommend you, if you are able to, whether online or in person, if you can join a fish club. I know that was something I did not know existed, and I feel lucky because we have Maasai, which is in Missouri, and it's a very good club. And I just had no idea, and I'm so thankful. And it was one of those things that just raised my fish keeping to a whole new level, just having that type of people to talk to. So if you can, I recommend joining your local fish club, whether online or in person. If you can go to every meeting, that is fantastic. If you can just go to the weekend events or maybe one, like every other meeting, just whatever you can, I highly recommend just club events.
As a newcomer, it'll jumpstart your knowledge. The only downside is it's probably going to jumpstart your obsession, but that is not a bad thing. But it will tremendously jumpstart your knowledge.
Yes, I love that. Like I said, I stumbled upon it. I think I was listening to some live chats in the fish community on YouTube, and they mentioned something, and I looked into it. It's been probably 4 or 5 years now that I've been a member, and it's amazing. And again, I highly recommend it. I get to go more to the weekend events where the swaps and the auctions, but they do post some videos here and there online, and I am thankful for that. So however you can participate, I highly recommend it. But I do want to put that out there that not everything is this stressful. We've had 99% of the time it's been 100% okay. But circling back to these lovely diamond
Well, not
tetras.
circling back. I want one more bit of good news. I found some of my favorite live bears that look like little bass.
Oh, yeah.
I got was able to purchase a wonderful bag of Amica Splendens, and they all arrived home safe and sound.
Yes.
And are all in the tank and all healthy, happy.
Yes, and they are ginormous compared to what I had. I thought I was doing good until these came home, and they are ginormous. But they're a live bear, and they're part of the Goodeids, and I absolutely love them. They have a little bit smaller broods of fry, but they are a lot larger than the guppies compared to the guppies.
Yes, they give birth to live fry, and they are huge.
Yes, but whoo, man, I thought I was doing good with I have them in a 55-gallon heavy planted tank, and man, we got this bag, and they're beautiful, but they are ginormous compared to what we had before. So I'm very thankful that we got to bring those home. And we acclimated them, and they just acted like they had just caught up with old friends. They're like, we're ready to go. This is fun. Thank you for being here. And we did get another trio of they're blue-greenish fancy guppies that apparently won a championship, according to the lady that I talked to. So hopefully they reproduce soon. I'm excited to see them because they are the male is gorgeous, but even the female's really pretty too. So again, not everything goes like this, but I will have to be honest. I feel like if you do keep fish for a while and you do buy fish at an auction and you're going to be there for 4 or 5 days, you'll probably encounter something similar to this at least once or twice, maybe in your journey. And hopefully as you get more experience, you can catch it in time. We probably would have done better if we would have been better prepared, but we like to pack light. So we left a few important things at home because again, we've had such good luck for so long. We didn't feel like we needed some important supplies that you should always bring, whether you need them or not. Especially if you're driving. If you're flying and you just want to go, we've gone to shows where we've been out of town and we've flown and we didn't want to buy anything. But there's always those occasional hiccups where you might pick something up. So again, even saying that, I highly recommend maybe you just always bring a bucket.
Well, as the experienced fish keeper calls it, a crash bag. You have to bring a few items that in case stuff starts to go way south on you that you did not anticipate.
Hence a battery-powered air bubbler. That is very handy. A good air stone and a line, like an aquarium tubing line, because the one we bought we were counting on, but it was kinked, so that caused another problem. But yes, you need a good aquarium air tube line and an air stone, some batteries, and then that battery powered air
and possibly a small bottle of water conditioner and stress coat.
Yeah, stress coat is a water conditioner. I like stress coat in Prime, but whatever your fancy is, just bring one. It's very important. A good net, and a good old-fashioned bucket. When you're traveling, I prefer one with a lid. And if you come prepared, you wouldn't have to spend $11 on that bucket and lid on your emergency run to PetSmart. But going back, it was funny because I was sitting the seat just ahead of Jesse at the auction. And I was like, they were like, going once, going twice. I was like, oh, congratulations. The person behind me won. I thought they were a couple. I was like clapping and I was following them down. I was like, hey, I just got some diamond tetra. I was like, sweet. But it was a large fish bag. I will say that it was a large bag. It wasn't half full. It was probably like a fourth full maybe of water, but it was crowded. It had probably at least 20, 25 tetras in there. I didn't count them. And it was very deflated and the knot was really loose. So and when we got upstairs, I was debating, once you open that fish bag and they've been in there for a while, it's going to cause some problems. But because the knot was on the looser side, and it was deflated, I kind of had the thought that it had been open before.
Well, and to add the caveat, they were already swimming very oddly.
Yeah.
There's a caveat to this. There was a reason you opened the bag.
Yeah.
If the fish, in our experience, when you buy fish, do not open the bag unless you absolutely have to.
Yes.
And this is our experience, speaking 100% from experience.
Yes.
We will not open it. However, again, we will open it if the fish is starting to swim very, very oddly, sideways, turning, got clamped fins, things are going south in a hurry.
The water was really cloudy, and it didn't have anything in the water that would make it that way. And the bag was pretty thick, so you couldn't see them clearly, but even through that, you could tell the fins were. It was starting to be like
something was way off.
To me, it looked like it was starting to get ammonia burn. Like the ammonia was the fins were starting to get just not. So we luckily had a bunch of, like you said, we said earlier, everybody that could be any help was just downstairs. There is anybody and everybody that could help. And of course, them being proper fish keepers, they came with every necessity we needed. So we got a bucket, we got a new fish bag that we didn't need, but we had, because it was really small, but we did have one. We got an air pump, we got an air stone, we got airline tubing, we got everything we possibly could need to help the situation. And in our goodie bags, we had water conditioner, but we didn't have the thought to the next morning because we were getting tired. I'll blame it on that. But we didn't remember that we got those goodie bags with the water conditioner to the next morning. So we were getting everything in line. We were trying to do the best we could to kind of just hold off before opening the bag as long as we could. We were trying. But once we opened that bag, we started with just the line. We just started with air for the time being because we needed a little bit of water, but we forgot that at the time we didn't know we had water conditioner. But luckily, again, we found everything we need, and we used some conditioner in the tube and the air stone. And then we did lose, I can't remember the exact count, but we probably lost at least 10 throughout the night till the next morning.
Yes.
I would say we lost probably, like I said, I don't remember specific, but it was at least a good 10 of them.
Well, what caused us to open the bag, and as bad as we don't want to say this.
Yeah, we didn't want to, but
we lost as soon as the bag opened, and we were figuring out how to get the water, get the water out, switch water to fresh water, because they were definitely ammonia burning. That's what was happening.
And the water, when we opened it,
it had the sweet, stinky, sour smell.
Bad. I haven't smelled fish water that bad in a long time.
Well, when you get that, really, it's such a pungent, sweet smell.
I wouldn't say it was sweet. Well, but I get your point.
Well, that's what it is, and it just it burns your nostrils. It was horrible. We hadn't smelled water like that in a long time. However, we swapped that water out. We basically poured all the water out, got new water in on the fish immediately.
Yeah. And then the next morning, we thought everything had evened out a little bit, but we still ran. As soon as we could, we ran to the closest fish store we could and the grocery store, and we got the best, like, the best water we could. It was, I think we got spring water or something like that. We figured out we had more water conditioner. We got a battery powered pump so we could give some of the stuff back to our friends, but luckily they still let us have their bucket too. So we had another bucket, but we got everything bought that we needed, the fresh, like just everything we needed, but we didn't, and everything was doing good. It was doing good. I feel like I did put a little bit too much water conditioner because they were starting to gasp a little bit, but that was because we had went to go eat. Honestly, we were starving. We needed to go eat and everything was good. But when we were gone, that airline was kinked from being in that package so long, and it was just resting in the perfect spot that it had like stopped bubbling. And because I know I probably put a little bit too much water conditioner in there. I was light because, I mean, it's hard to put like the perfect amount for like a half a gallon, for a fish bag worth of water. It's hard.
Well, you're not you weren't treating 100 gallons.
Yeah,
you were treating maybe a gallon at max, possibly 3/4 of a gallon of water.
I feel like we went from ammonia to like ammonia burn to getting that evened out to then it was. They were losing because there was still quite a few tetra in there, and those diamond tetra they're large for me. I keep a few tetra, but they're smaller, and they're probably a good 2 or 3 inches.
Oh, yeah. They're about 3
they're
inches
pretty
long.
big. So still having a good sized group in there. And then the bubbler was king. So that we weren't gone very long, maybe 30, 45 minutes, but it had caused another it's so sad, but you could literally, I'm not exaggerating either. You were just looking at them, just turning over and passing away. Just one. And so we did another quick water change. I didn't put as much. I did just a little tiny bit this time, even smaller than the first time. And then you were like genius because you used the cap of a water bottle to poke that airline tube in when it was in the bucket. Because we left the bag in the bucket. We didn't. So if we needed to close it, and it wouldn't be, in my head, it wasn't as messy. So we were changing water, but still using the fish bag. So we had like a little, I would say just a cup basically to kind of get all that water out the best we could. And you weighted that down, took the air stone off, and then just weighted that down with that little plastic drinking.
The plastic,
bottle cap.
the water bottle cap, I took a regular water bottle cap. And I used a pocket knife and I poked a big old X in it.
Yeah. And
I pushed the X open and shoved. If anyone that's been in the aquarium hobby, even a new one, knows how big airline is. I poked the airline through there and I poked it with the cap facing up.
Yes.
To where the rim was up.
Yes.
And it would actually, you could adjust where the tubing was in the water bottle that way and get the right amount of bubbles you wanted. If you forced it down further or higher, the higher you raised it, it would obviously bubble harder. If you shoved it further through the cap and let it stick further down into the bucket, it wouldn't bubble as much.
Yeah.
So we could adjust how hard it was blowing oxygen into the water that we had in the bucket.
Yeah. And after we got that, we were at this step. We had 4 left. And from then on out, we still have those 4. We have encountered a new problem, but on the journey home, we closed the fish bag and tied a rubber band around it, but we left that air tubing in that bag, and I just sat with them in the floorboard by my feet so I could just keep track of them the whole 6 hours home. And like I said, they have all made it. We have 4 left out of that large bag that we bought.
And the water bottle trick worked because when we went to leave, worried about moving it around.
Yeah, I was nervous
moving
about
the actual pump
them
around and setting it off to the side in the car.
Yeah.
I shoved the hose way further down in the bucket so that when the pump was getting moved around, it would still, no matter what, at all times be pushing air into the water.
Yeah. So we think, again, issues with fish when it comes to illnesses. I have encountered a few things through the years, but I'm not an expert by any means. But my best guess is we went from ammonia burn to them not having enough oxygen to now that they're home, we got them acclimated, but now
they've been stressed to the max.
There's been stress, their immune system's down, and now it's the next day and they have one for sure, 100%, my best guess, non-expert guess, they have fungus of some. I don't know if it's just fungus. It's in the back anal fin. It looks like cotton and it's all over, but it's it's almost like a little white fuzz just is kind of on them. 3 of them, if they do, it's faint, but there's one for sure that it's very much on its back anal fin, by its anal fin on its belly. And I know there's all different types of remedies, and the one that have the most experience using and the one I'm doing now is I probably should have all of them quarantined, but I definitely have this one for sure quarantined, and I'm just doing I'm watching them all the time because they are in a tank where everything's in quarantine and it's just there's some tetra of a different, I think it's the white long skirt tetras in there, and they're in quarantine too. And that was,
well, everything's in quarantine, but most of them are in their own tanks quarantining by themselves.
But this one they're in a 75 gallon, but this one particular one, it's swimming a lot better since I have it quarantined, but I am using aquarium salt. I am using a little bit heavier of a dose than I normally would. I believe it's a large critter carrier, so it's probably like a gallon or 2.
It's a gallon and a half.
A gallon and a half, and I put a teaspoon of salt in there. And then I would say, there's not like a magical time I set a timer, but probably one more time before I'll go to bed, I'll put another little pinch if it seems to be getting worse. But if everything is kind of maintaining, like right now, that tetra's swimming a whole heck of a lot more than it was. It's not just resting on the bottom. And I do have an air stone in there, and I put a couple rocks from the tank it's going back into in there too. And I'm just going to keep a watch on it. If things get worse, I put more salt in there, and I'll do a tiny little water change with like a turkey baster type of thing to kind of spot treat the bottom to keep it as clean as I can. And I just keep an eye on it. And I might, even just thinking about it right now, might put a catappa leaf in there just to be safe. But that's usually, I know there's really good medications, and if things get a lot worse, I might try. I just have better luck, me personally, with going the salt remedy first and using catappa leaves a lot. But again, I'm not an expert. So if you run into a problem and you identify it and you have a way that works, go for it. But I know me personally, I go down the salt way first because I have a tendency to medicate with those packets.
Well, there's so many different diseases out there. The salt and the leaves method first is
my catch-all.
And you're trying to narrow down what it is, because then you might talk to someone. Yeah. You might actually find out a little more information about what it really is if it continues to progress. Yeah, if it continues to grow and keep getting worse, then you can kind of identify it. But catching it at the earlier stage as you did.
Yeah, I've been obsessively watching it. I know through the years, ick is what I've encountered the most of 100%. I don't see it often, but it's definitely the one that I have seen the most. I have had a fungus in the fish room, I think maybe once, but it was around like their lips, their mouth area. And ammonia burn would probably be my second that I run into, but I know sometimes the guppies, and when I had puffers, I had to treat for internal parasites, and you could see them expel some things every once in a while that you're like, man, that wasn't good. So I know I've ran into things, and I'm not an expert, and fish diseases is one of those things that they can be a little difficult when I run into something new. So,
well, there's so many different fish diseases, and each fish specific to that genus and that fish, it can be something totally different.
Yeah. But it was a good experience. We went to the Triple Crown. We got some really good goodies. I'm really excited to share with you. Especially if you follow us over at YouTube, you can watch the videos and the updates, but our fish room is definitely full, and I am so excited for the things we picked up. And again, we ran into this issue, and I can't even explain or put into words just watching them and my heart sinking and knowing I was going to do the best I could, and at least I was with people that could help me. And the fact that we do have 4 and that one is actively swimming a lot better. I'm not going to say we're out of the woods by any means, because we'll just see. But I'm thankful that we've at least made it this far with them. And I don't want to discourage anybody to go, because even though we ran into this, all of the other things we got are doing in fantastic shape, and I cannot recommend enough going to these auctions and going and talking, experiencing and bidding and going to the swaps, because there's really good deals. And we wanted to share with you this experience to maybe if you...
And this dilemma, to open the fish bag or not. And after we did, and we lost as many as we did, unfortunately... that part was excruciating for both of us.
Yeah.
However,
it was sad.
We were told by many people that are in the hobby that know us, they go, there's no way that wouldn't have happened. Yeah. And you actually did the best you could with the worst situation.
I was trying.
With the worst situation, and to even come back with something.
Yeah.
Is better than what most people would have accomplished.
I'm not gonna, but again, sharing with this little story and the ups and downs with you, maybe if you go to something in the future and you encounter this, maybe this will help, or maybe you can give us some pointers and you'll be like, hey, do this next time, and we'll do that too. But out of all the things we've gone to, this was by far the most stressful encounter, but we did okay. We did good, and I don't think, like you said, there was nothing we could have done. Once we opened that fish bag, it was going to happen, but if we wouldn't have done anything...
We'd had a whole bag of upside-down fish.
We wouldn't have had very good luck either. So, again, I do encourage you to go join your local fish club online, in person, the closest one to you, because it's wonderful to have a club in your back pocket and some fish friends to talk to, and then you can go to the auction and pick up some really good goodies too, because I'm excited. We got some good ones.
Oh,
yeah. Pretty.
And to add to your very other point, we did, before we left, we were responsible, and we cleared out a bunch of tanks and moved a bunch of fish.
Yeah, we did do that.
So that all of our fish, besides besides the Tetra tank, were all quarantined fish anyway.
Yeah.
We made room, reorganized.
Yep.
The plan held true, except for this one little hiccup with the Tetra that we had at the show.
It's going to be, I know, I'm not going to say if, they're going to turn around and be beautiful. And I tell you what, Diamond Tetra are beautiful. So I'm excited to have them in the fish room. And these 4 are going to do fantastic. And like I said, if you want to check out the tanks, go over to ScienceGal Aquatics on YouTube. But honestly, I'm just glad you're here listening with us. And I hope this helps you in the future in any kind of way, and to share any of these episodes with a fish keeping friend would be wonderful and fantastic. But we also invite you to check out ScienceGalAquatics.com and the memberships if you want to watch this podcast. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I'll give you one pro tip before you go. Tape. If they're not rounded, tape the corners of your fish bag up.
Yeah,
that way, if you got little bitty, especially if you're buying smaller nano type fish, they will not get stuck in the corners that way.
Take a little Scotch tape, push those corners up, tape them, and then your little fish are fry, especially fry, they won't get stuck in the corners.
That's going to be my new thing. At the end of every episode, I'm giving a pro tip.
But until next time, thank you so much. And on to the next show next weekend, Aquashella Dallas 2022. If you're in the area, come check it out. But until next time, thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Bye.